You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. So it begins again. Welcome back, CreepGeeks Podcast. This is Season 8, Episode 327.
New Jersey drones, new magnetism, Pope's portals, mirror bacteria, and googly eyes.
Yeah. So it begins again. Welcome back to the podcast. If this is your very first time tuning in, we're glad you're here. And if you're a returning listener, you know we love you.
Yep.
So anyway, we have a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
In this particular podcast, we broadcast paranormal news and strange experiences from our underground bunker in the mountains of western North Carolina.
Okay.
I should put a disclaimer on that when we have them. We're just not just, making stuff up. So, because there are places out there like, that seems odd.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not alluding to anything. And if you're listening to our podcast and you're a podcast and you're like, what does he mean by that? We're probably talking about you.
Would you stop?
What? I'm just inciting some things. I really don't have any real agenda towards any of that.
So
it's kind of like, if this bothers you, then maybe you should do some deep introspective reflection.
About your podcast.
Whatever.
Okay.
Well, it just seems like there's podcasts out there that just have amazing experiences every 2-3 days when they put a podcast out. I'm like, how is that possible? We've been eyeballing this stuff for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you go out and go looking for it, you still don't come up with all that stuff. And they have all these amazing contributions, or people call and go, let me tell you about, and about the weirdest thing we've had is somebody call us.
Well, anyways, the next thing I knew was my cat detected something.
You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff that we get. I'm like, where? But anyway, here we go. Mm-hmm. So if you'd like to support the podcast, you can certainly do that. We have a couple different ways you can interact with us, mainly internet presences, of course, like Facebook and stuff. But we also have this amazing toll-free number.
That phone number is going to be 575-208-4025.
Yes. And we also have everything we talk about on the podcast is on our website. If you go to creepgeeks.com, you can turn around and look at it and stuff. And there's also links. So if you click on a link, it looks like it's an Amazon link. Guess what it does?
What?
If you buy something, we get a little kickback.
Ah.
Nobody likes it when you say it. See, when you're doing it, you're like, it's not a kickback. It's just a small wafer, whatever. But people that look at it go, they're getting a kickback. If I buy something, they're getting a little paid off of it. You know what I mean? They get all worked up. It's like, it doesn't cost you anything, man. It's just it's an affiliate link.
Okay.
Those exist because, you got to pay for stuff. And all this stuff costs money.
Yeah.
Because we don't do free podcast hosting. We actually pay for it and have been paying for it for a while. But whatever. It's all good. We love you anyway.
Yeah.
You can also get rural access for Starlink if you're looking into that kind of thing. If you're in the local area, to us, which is Western North Carolina, or if you're in a rural area in general and you're wondering about, is my internet better than yours? Well, if you got Starlink, it probably is, especially if you're in an area that doesn't have devoted cell phone service to your area, or you can't get reached or whatever. It's something to think about. And we know it works because in our area in Western North Carolina, after Hurricane Helene, it's a couple months later, about 3 months later, and all of a sudden Starlink is like sold out in our area. Full up. They have exceeded capacity. And that tells you something. It tells you that it freaking works.
Yeah.
So I can't complain. We used to complain a lot about internet. We still do, because we originally had satellite and it was very slow. Now we have Starlink, and it is a lot faster. Not fast enough for what we want to do, but it's faster than nothing. So, and it sticks around. It's good stuff. It lasts a long time, unlike FEMA, who has departed the area mostly, and there's still a lot of work to be done in Western North Carolina. We still have people sleeping in tents. Mm. So, yes, I'm a little aggravated by that. Our country gives away millions and millions and millions to other countries, and I get it. We have responsibilities, but come on, man. There's people here that could use it.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Not just like, this area has been geologically changed. You can look at satellite images. It's like, wow, that river is not in the same place anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty awful. Anyway, kind of moving into the podcast, we're going to talk about some weird things. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is sort of a follow-on from our last podcast. where we started mentioning drones. And actually, this goes back a couple of years where we were talking about, well, disclosure, I was mainly talking about the drone sightings in Colorado and Utah over the Dugway Proving Grounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I know you're bored with it, but guess what? It's all in the news. We got to talk about it, Omi. So here we go. Oh, I'm Greg, by the way.
And I'm Omi.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we get that out of the way just in case you didn't
already.
know. I did?
Yes.
And this candy is amazing. It's just full of sugar. It's feeding my diabetic soul. But yeah.
Okay.
So there was these large sightings that were happening in Utah and Colorado and stuff. Remember, the cops were freaking out. And there's nothing we can really do about it. That sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Well, now in New Jersey and places like that, I shouldn't say places like that, like New Jersey, Ohio, all over the world, I guess is what some people are saying, like Syria and Egypt and whatever. There's been a lot of drone sightings, but primarily what we're concerned with is the New Jersey drone sightings, where drones as big as SUVs are flying around, right? And people are trying to figure out what the deal is. And there's just so much, if you start digging around, it's just so much out there. It's like, well, what's going on? Like, what are they doing? Who's doing it? Why is it happening? Everybody's seeing them. Is that a thing? Why now is everybody seeing them? And there's a couple different explanations that people want to use to sort of explain it. And all of them are wrong. And all of them are right, because you can't prove it, right? You can't really. So it's just like, what do you think is happening with the drones? Is whatever you say is probably right, because until it's proven otherwise, nobody really knows. I mean, I have some theories, but there's one theory with all the drone sightings that's been occurring that kind of makes sense, but I don't want it to make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so back when Reagan was when Reagan was in office, there was a nuclear drawdown where they started getting rid of nuclear weapons. It was like Russia and U.S. and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Well, when you start getting rid of weapons and you don't have a good accounting system, I'm not necessarily talking about our Pentagon, who's failed physical audits every time they've ever had one.
Yeah.
Things get lost, and allegedly some nuclear weapons were lost, and warheads more specifically were lost. Right?
Yeah.
And there's been there's a couple things that have popped up where, and I don't know if any of these are true, because you can't really say that they're true or whatever. What is going on with all this extraneous noise? Is it you or me?
It's my office.
What do they want? Tell them you're busy. Say, I'm busy doing our podcast. So allegedly some nuclear weapons, the warheads specifically, were lost, and they disappeared, and somebody found them, or groups have found them. And all of a sudden, these weapons, these warheads, have slowly been creeping away across the USA.
Yeah.
And so the idea is, that maybe these drones that are flying around, because if you're seeing drones that have lights on them, they're not alien. They're not from another dimension or from the ocean. They're government. Yeah. Whether it's China, Korea, U.S., doesn't matter. They're government. More than likely, they're U.S. because the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, has rules on how your drone has to be visible and has to have blinky lights and all this stuff. And we're seeing these big giant drones with some of these blinky lights and stuff. And these drones are supposed to be as big as an SUV or just very large. Not like you buy like a DJI Mini that's about the size of rotisserie chicken flying around.
Yeah.
If you guys get rotisserie chickens, you know what size I'm talking about, right? Because it's about the right size, right? And so the idea is that these drones that have been showing up and all over certain places is that they're not out there trying to harass people, because people are like, what are they doing? They're looking for radiation. So if you have high levels of radiations, that could be indicative of there's a radiological, maybe a warhead hanging around, or something with high radiological signature, like the nasty stuff in nuclear weapons that can cause problems. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes plutonium and all that junk. That's what makes it sort of radiological, radioactive, nuclear, right?
Okay.
So if these drones are flying around looking for that, I would think that that's probably a good thing, because it's good. The idea that they're trying to fly around and look for, or they've been detected somehow high radiological signatures in cities. It's kind of scary. But there's just too much information out there. Oh, they're flying around military installations. They're flying too close to airports. They're flying over neighborhoods. They're flying over secret, installations and all this stuff. There's like just a lot going on.
Yeah.
So if they're our drones that have the lights that are whizzing around and they're looking for something, that's great. Yeah, hopefully they find it, whatever it is. If it's Chinese or Russian or Korean drones whizzing around, what are they doing? Is this just a nuisance thing? To try to get people off edge and scare them a little bit, terrify them, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Is it like a display saying, hey, you're supplying all these weapons into somewhere like Ukraine. We got you too. We can harass you, to kind of like, put it to you that no matter how far you are or you think you are, is this just like a display of force saying that no matter how safe you think you are and how protected you are with your amazing weapon technology, which the U.S. has the best in the world, that you're still not immune or safe from something that we could do? Because we all know that Russia's weapon technology is garbage. It is.
Okay.
It's trash. I've been to Russia, went with the Navy, and we got to go on some ships because they gave us tours and stuff. We were doing a whole, detente, little glad handing and all that stuff. And I looked at some of the stuff like, wow, you guys have rusted water coming out of missile tubes. That's not good. Because you don't want your missiles to rust and then try to fire them. You had cables and communication lines that run on top of the decks instead of being secured and underneath, so that when you shot a missile, it burned through them and then you had to replace it. But, that's cool. The Russians just put 2 sets of communication lines so that when one burned off, when you shot missiles from one side, you still had the other side to fire. That's why when they fire missiles, or when they would attempt to fire missiles, they fire a lot. We fire one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're $1 million, but they're kind of like, we use scalpel. Our warfare is like with a scalpel. It's precision. Theirs is just like, let's blow a whole bunch of stuff up. The U.S. can hit you in the head with a rock. Russia throws a whole bunch of rocks. So it's just, and that's an older ideology that I have. Because I was in the Navy, and, the Russians were our Klingons to the Federation, if you will, which is a Gene Roddenberry reference, that's exactly who the Klingons were based off of. So I don't know. So that's the thing. It's like, is this a nuisance thing? Is this a sort of something designed to give us nightmares and keep us awake at night and scare us? Which I don't think that Russia really understands that. Now we got people that are just pissed off and shooting at them.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. So in a lot of ways,
we're shooting at them here in Western North
Carolina.
Don't be
giving away stuff. I'm not shooting. Listen, if anybody's listening because you've got your echelon system fired up and you're harvesting words with your AI system, not us. We're not shooting at anything.
Yeah.
Because ammunition is expensive. So, but yeah, people are shooting at them now. They're like, you know what? If the government's not going to do anything, then we're going to do it. Well, that's cool and all. But what if it's the government trying to keep you safe? Like trying to find missing nuclear warheads, like some sort of spy novel. And you got Frank out in the field blasting at them. Right. So anyway, I saw a drone and started blasting. It's like, you probably don't want to shoot down the thing that's looking over the area. Is it an incursion where they're just doing, maybe it's China, Russia, Korea, doing some kind of like mapping thing to get all of our infrastructure all figured out, and they're using 3D mapping or whatever, so they can do something to us. Mm. Is that kind of what's going on here? Or are they doing that to try to get a rise out of us so that if we react at all, then all of a sudden they're going to declare World War III? Or is this just a way for maybe, let's just say Putin, who's been talking, you keep shooting missiles at us, I'm going to shoot a nuclear weapon. He hasn't done it yet, so he's got to do something. Right? He's got to do something, because Russia really is one of those machismo, macho place. They're a tough guy. You know what? When we went to Russia, you know what the number one thing they wanted to do aside from drink with us? Arm wrestle. Okay. Feats of strength. That was what they did. I swear to God, we're sitting there, drinking vodka and eating little pieces of cheese. I'm like, and then you're like, what is this guy saying? He's like, no, we're going to arm wrestle and wrestle out in the yard. We're wearing dress uniforms. It's like, no, dude, we're not doing that.
I don't know. You said something a moment back, and now I'm trying to and that's, you were mentioning the whole LiDAR scanning areas and things.
Yes.
So when the Obama administration first came into office, they bought up a lot of land around national parks, public lands, and national forests. And then the Trump administration, realizing, the country's budget and other factors, sold off a lot of that land. And what we did not realize at the time was part of it, like in New Mexico, was sold off to Chinese and Russian investment companies.
Yeah, but that's been going on.
I know.
Started with the Japanese in the 70s.
But it was a noticeable increase, like right down to part of a place that we like to go in New Mexico called The Dirt had been sold off to a Russian company. And
Russia, China, and also, the Biden administration really made it happen to buy a lot of this.
And
so it wasn't just Obama; it sort of carried over.
Well, so because some of that land was excess, so it was sold off. And what if the same thing now? Because that started after Obama had bought the land. The Trump administration was like, some of this is extraneous. Let's sell it off. Well, now that Trump is in office again, are they Are they pre-scanning? Because a lot of what was bought in New Mexico was fuel and mineral related.
I don't know. Probably not.
Okay. Or just good property investment.
Well, okay, so
if
China holds like $800 billion or $1 trillion of our debt or whatever it is. It's a number that's incalculable to me. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't make sense to, destroy the people that owe you money.
Well, but it would make sense to buy up any other valuable land or mineral investments.
Well, I mean, if you really look and see how much China actually owns, they own a large chunk of the U.S. And I think the biggest fear is, we're going off in the weeds away from drones, but so I don't really know. Nobody really knows what's going on. And there is the idea that if you see orbs flying around and not what look like mechanical drones like we would make, that those are UAPs or aliens. And allegedly there's footage of an orb just like blasting another drone, like defending itself. And then that brings up the idea that maybe some of these drones that we know are more like what we would have, maybe government drones or whatever, are flying around trying to figure out what the orb drones are doing, like sending our little crappy drones up to intercept these alien drones that are allegedly being created from under the sea, with a deep underground or deep underwater military base or alien base that creates drones as it needs them to do specific purposes. Like creates them on the fly, and anything that gets too close to it gets vaporized. And that's why we leave them alone. Yeah. And then there's also the theory that I think Stephen Greer has that says, well, since we figured out anti-gravity technology, that a lot of the drones that we're seeing are our drones. And you have the sort of conventional drones, and then you have the futuristic anti-grav drones that are whizzing around doing things. So, and then you've got people yelling about Project Bluebeam. We can use 3D and holographic technology with social media, news, and other things like that to tell everybody that the end of the world is happening, whether it's the coming of the rapture, or if it's alien invasion, and you stir enough unrest and scare people enough, right? And they're going to believe it, and then you can just kind of have like a bloodless coup, if you will, and just take over the people without them even really putting up much of a fight, because they're already terrified that it's the end of the world and all hell's breaking loose. Because one of the comments that you see a lot with these sort of things is, oh man, alien invasion's coming? Do I still have to pay my bills? Let me know. I'm not paying my bills, man. And you're just like, I'm ready to give it all up, right? And I like that. Sweet. January 6th, you say? I'm not paying my bills. I ain't paying rent that day. It's like, wow.
Yeah, we welcome our alien overlords.
Yeah. It's like, and there was a story that I seen on TikTok where it's automated AI voice, and it was saying, like, we can't believe the humans just gave up so easily.
Yeah.
We told them it was going to be terrible. And we're going to imprison them all and give them 3 square meals a day, provide shelter and all this stuff at no cost, and we only wanted them to work a tedious work schedule of 4 hours a day, and the aliens or the humans have embraced us and all this stuff, right?
Some of them were crying, but it was tears of happiness.
Yeah, it's like, what? Hell yeah, man. Sign me up, brother.
Hell yeah, bro.
That's exactly what it was. I was like, that sounds great. We make them work 4 hours a day. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of a thing. So I'm not really sure what's going on with these, drone things. You know, there's UFO researchers or UAP researchers saying it's Russian tech. I don't think it's Russian tech. I think Russia's buying the tech. I think China is providing the tech to Russia, if that be the case, because China, they make everything, right?
Yeah.
So they're getting all their drones and stuff from Wish or AliExpress or Alibaba. I don't think Russia's really making a whole lot, or maybe even Korea. I do think that, since the Russians are getting some of their missiles from Korea, because Korea makes, let's not call them intercontinental ballistic missiles, but they're making sort of medium range intercontinental ballistic missiles. Russia doesn't have those. So I think it's a coordinated effort with Russia, China, and Korea trying to do something as far as, if that's the case, as far as these drone sightings go. And then, there's an article that basically talked about how the Pentagon denies the presence of an Iranian mothership in New Jersey, where basically it's a drone ship that flies around and has all the little drones that live like attached to it, and the little drones go fly off and do stuff. Now, the idea that it might be Iranians that could make sense. Iran is a relatively rich country. They can buy these drones. They're not going to make them as much. They're just going to buy them.
Okay.
And there's companies that have no problem selling them at all. And we're not talking about like the drones that you see in the sky. We're talking about like they look like maybe the Predator style drones with the small wings and flying around, and some that fold up and all this crazy stuff. More conventional sort of drones. Almost like some of the drones that the Ukrainians are using. Well, they're buying them from India. So. And there's allegedly one crashed in a New Jersey parking lot. And, the fire rescue was there and all that. And people are like, and they're using hazmat suits. They were wearing hazmat suits. And it's like, well, yeah, if your drone is powered by lithium batteries, the same battery that's in your pocket, that could be bad. I mean, especially when they blow up. Lithium is not an environmentally friendly product when it's been made into a battery. It's pretty
not.
awful. So, yeah, you definitely. Plus, you don't know. Are these things being powered by? What are they being powered by? What fuel does it take? Whatever. I mean, that's just common sense to wear a hazmat suit. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean it's nuclear. Right?
Yeah.
See, that was Hillsborough, New Jersey, the drone crash. And it's just like, and the idea that I'm having is just like, well, hey, it's not what they're doing, it's why they're doing it. These drones flying around. Well, what's the why? Why are they doing it? Not what. Like, oh, they're out there just trying to do, I don't know. What are they looking for?
They're unmanned, so it's not like we're going to find out. It's not like when the next one crashes, we can interrogate it. I mean, we might be able to hack it, but
hey, it gets stuff like that gets interrogated every day. Let me grab your computer and see what you've been looking at. Right?
Hack it maybe and just figure out what its flight path is and notice similarities. But I don't think we're going to.
Maybe they're all AI controlled. I mean, they're putting it on your phones and stuff. Who's to say it doesn't already exist in drones? Of course it would. We had rocket drones when I was in the Navy, and this is in the 90s, that were from 1945. So people think that drones are a cutting-edge new technology. It's not. It's been going on since the World War II. They had radio-controlled stuff, like remote-controlled things in, like, World War I. So a lot of the technology that we have today that we think is new is not new at all. So if you think about 1945 to 2025, it's 80 years of progression. If you had the idea that maybe nuclear or mercury engines or something like that can get rid of anti-gravity and the problems with like fuel and flying and things, there's a long way they can go with drones. I mean, you've got U.S. Navy patents for alternative propulsion technologies. We've talked about that for 3 or 4 times on the podcast. So, I don't know. So there you go. Is it Project Bluebeam? I don't think so. Because if it is, I don't think they're counting on people shooting at stuff. I'm sure some analyst somewhere. So you're going to have a small amount of the population that'll start shooting at things. And I think once things start popping off, I think you can have everybody out there shooting at stuff because not everybody is smart. It's like, what? You mean it's allowed? I can just go out there and start blasting? Here I go.
What was it, 2019, when everybody threatened to go shoot the hurricane come to Florida? Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah, but it was a small amount of people that did shoot the hurricane. Yeah. I'll show you. And then meanwhile, somebody's walking their dog and they get stung in the neck. Ow, something bit me, right? It's kind of... So anyway, there you go. We don't know what's causing the drone stuff. Nobody really knows. There are really good theories and conspiracies you can go down. I hope it's not nuclear. If it's Russia trying to flex and China trying to flex, they're not getting the message across, because if they thinking they're doing something that we're going to react to it, the government's not going to react to it. We're not, because you know what? Do you react when the mosquito bites you? Sure. Little gnats flying around. It doesn't have the same impact. We don't care. I mean, that's the best way to fight somebody, right? If you're already in a source of power, if you're the tough guy and the person comes up and wants to, you just don't fight. You don't need to.
Okay.
I don't need to prove to you anything. So maybe that's what it is. We'll show you. We're going to buzz your country with drones. Ooh. Well, because drones are in the news, right? Drone is super cheap warfare. And honestly, drones they are horrific when it comes to this kind of thing. Because what are you going to do? How can you protect yourself against that? Hopefully we can use a weapon that was banned in World War II. Or tried to be banned in World War II as per the Geneva Convention. You know what it was called?
What?
Shotgun. Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows? So if you guys have an opinion on that, you should weigh in and give us some weird, obscure fact or conspiracy. You know, it'd be nice to hear. Because you can't get all your stuff from like USA Today and TikTok because you don't know what the hell is going on. It's like, what?
Why not TikTok?
Why not? Because, hey, it's going to be banned.
Yeah, whatever.
It is. It's going to be banned come January 19th.
I know.
It's funny thing about that is like you got to sell it to an American company. You know how much of the ByteDance part of TikTok that's in the U.S. because all of U.S. TikTok is actually in U.S. Is actually owned by other people? Not enough, because 60% of it's owned by Americans. It's already owned by Americans. And honestly, if you're going to do that to TikTok, Facebook is just as guilty, if not more guilty.
Yeah, I know.
All of them are guilty.
I'm just annoyed.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah.
Because you're not seeing this crap on the news, but you got people out there with video cameras just shooting video and calling it one thing, and you got a bunch of people making stuff up. But either way, you can just weed through TikTok for hours and go, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. What?
Nothing.
Well, I'm trying to figure out you know what it is?
What?
It's really quiet.
That's
That's unusual. Don't say why.
I know.
It's just really quiet. It's so quiet the tinnitus in my ears is just going crazy, like ringing like nuts.
Yeah. It's also been very weird as far as the weather's concerned for the past couple of days.
Yeah, it's just missing fog. Where's the fog? This is like a perfect fog.
Did you go
weather.
outside?
No, are you kidding me? It's crazy out there. There's drones flying around. I'm not going out there.
It was foggy my whole ride home, and I got stuck behind some people with a Florida license plate.
And drones, they're shooting the drones?
I guess they've never seen fog before, so they decided that to deal with fog, you need to drive 10 under the speed limit. And then
you finally become that person.
The guy behind me, felt that everybody should be doing 70 on the particular road I drive home, which still has lane damage, by the way.
Perfect sort of dichotomy, this area.
And I'm like the middle where I'm like, okay, I know this turn's really sharp, so I should slow down to 45.
People that live here all their life take the mountain roads and curves at 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Because they're like, it's great. People that have been here for a minute go the speed limit and keep it cool. People that haven't been here at all are going slow.
Yeah.
Because they don't know which way the wind goes, And we've been here long enough to have an idea where all the curves are, right? But if you've never been here, all of a sudden curves come up out of nowhere. And all of a sudden you're flying off into a cornfield or a pasture somewhere. And then you got the knucklehead behind you.
Yeah.
Who just wants to ride it. I've been driving this road since I was 16, and I don't care, man. I haven't. So what is it? Oh, ooh, you've been here for a while. But you know what the great equalizer is for us in our DIY camper van?
What?
The Great White Buffalo was one that I put one on. And then with ours, the Albino Rhino, the second version, right? A super bright motorcycle LED tail light that it blinks, right, for turn signals in a synchronous manner, left or right, and also has a really bright brake light. And I let him get close, and then I blast it by hitting the brakes and turning on my turn signal. Because, see, around here, turns, you just don't ease into a turn to get off the road. Yeah. You're going from 45 to stop to get off very quickly. And it always shocks them. Because I can look up in my rearview camera and see where they've locked up the brakes because they're just afraid they're going to blast in the back of us. And plus, nobody wants to be behind a van.
No.
So I got to get around this van. It's like, okay.
It's like,
and then they're shocked. They're like, why is that van going the speed limit? I go just as fast as you do, bro.
Or they don't recognize that you're going the speed limit. And it's just the fact that you exist as a van is the reason they must get around you.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's because they can't see around it. They're just afraid of what may be coming at them. You know, because you kind of supposed to look ahead. But I also think that they just don't like it. And they don't look for the third eye brake light anymore that everybody has. They don't look at the regular brake lights. So let's jump into some paranormal stuff. Evidently, the demolition of the most haunted nightclub, Bobby Mackey's, raises ghostly questions.
Huh.
Yes.
So what's funny is, though, okay, I guess Wilder, Kentucky, the demolition of Bob Mackey's, famously dubbed the most haunted nightclub in the country, is nearly complete. With the physical structure being dismantled, the fate of the supernatural entities that allegedly haunted the venue for decades remains a mystery. How long does it take to demolish a building? Because we here in Western North Carolina are demolishing them in one day. So,
well, it was a relatively big facility. It's been around for a minute. It's old. It's in a weird spot, like right off the road. You got to kind of know where it is. So it's not like it's got like a big access where you can drive into a really long parking lot. So, and plus, I mean, yeah, if you're paying a ton of money, you get a whole crew out there, take it all down, but you can't just take it all down at one time. You have to take it off in sections.
Well, there's theories, and according to Laura Rowland, who runs Gatekeeper Paranormal, and had offered tours detailing the haunted history of Bobby Mackey's for over 10 years, shared her insights on paranormal activity associated with the site. Everything from shadowy figures, full-body apparitions. We hear voices either just with our ears or on a recorder. Pretty much everything has happened here at Mackey's. People have been scratched, touched, pushed. So...
yeah, and it's been on every ghost show. Ghost Adventures, every ghost show has been to Bobby Mackey's, and there's always been a little something.
Now, a lot of people, according to Roland, think that the spirits are attached to the land and that whatever is built on this property, the spirits will still be here. If the spirits are indeed tied to the land, they may linger around whatever is constructed on the site. However, Roland noted another possibility. The supernatural specters might be connected to the building or its contents, in which case they would dissipate and move on. And we've seen instances of that, like the Titanic exhibit in Tennessee, and the traveling one for the Titanic.
Yeah.
The objects associated with the Titanic, every time they're at an exhibit, some sort of paranormal activity sparks up.
Well, she should have brought up the third option.
What?
Which is part of the stone tape theory.
Yeah.
It's a tie to the land because, the activity happened before there was anything there, and it continued when something became there. So if you had, like, say, maybe you had some spirits that were attached to the land, and then they built Bobby Mackey's on top of that, they're still going to be there. They don't really care. But then if you have activity that's associated with the actual structure or items in the structure, and then the structure gets wiped away, well, then they go too. They go. But the stuff that's already happening before there was a Bobby Mackey is going to keep on happening.
Yeah.
Which is going to be nothing.
And see, that's the thing. Like, they try to say something. I definitely think that the spirits that were attached to the building, like I said, the man that was killed, but also I think there could be some that are attached to the land. Bobby does plan to rebuild a new club on the spot, so there's a very good chance that the new club will be haunted as well. And I kind of feel like this is almost a PSA, we don't know. And
I mean, it makes sense Bobby Mackey's, if you watch the videos and you've seen the place, it was kind of a dive.
Yeah.
It's pretty junky.
Yeah.
So now he's getting a new place. And so I think that, anything he could have done or let happen to keep Bobby Mackey's popular, and keep revenue coming in, he's going to do. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt him at all just to let people walk around and look for ghosts, right? And then it becomes in the news, and his name gets spread, and and now he's finally they're finally making a new facility. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
So, and is there going to be ghosts there? No, because there was just barely ghosts there to begin with. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be haunted and stuff, but if you wipe away the building or whatever, I think it's just going to be silent for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying maybe it's the land, but there's no real.
Well, that's what everybody says, right? Is this attached to the land, or is it attached to the I mean, you got three schools of thought: the land before there was something, the building facilities because there was something, and then maybe something brought into a building or facility that has something, or maybe even brought in with a person. So, I mean, if you died in a well and you're haunting the well, and then the well's gone, you got no reason to hang around, right? It's not like the TV show Ghosts when they're like, what happened? I fell in a well and they just got lost in the dirt, walking underground for 100 years. It's like, I don't think it works that way, but who really knows? But that is the question, though, because we've actually asked that question, basically to ourselves, because our tens of listeners, nobody chimed in. What would happen if you just basically got rid of the haunted stuff? Because think about Zach Baggins and that house he bought.
Yeah.
A demon house where he allegedly blew his eyeballs out and has to wear these weird, charismatic glasses or whatever they are. Mm-hmm. He was so freaked out about that place. They demolished it and put it all in shipping containers and got rid of it.
Yeah. But then you have like that one hospital in New Mexico where they demolished the hospital, put a new one up, and it's just as haunted.
Yeah, but I would think that's definitely more attached to the land.
Possibly. Because
there was a lot of encroachment. Hey, let's take your holy ground, kick you out, and build something on top of it. We got 1,000 years of things going on.
Yeah.
Like cemetery or whatever.
Now Deming, that would be. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That would be land, but that hospital thing, it was weird because it was haunted by old hospital types, even though it was a new hospital. Yeah.
Now, New Mexico has some weird stuff going on because everything there, I think not everything, but I think a lot of it is transitory. Yeah. You be hanging out in your house, everything's great, and all of a sudden it becomes haunted as hell for like a week and then just goes away. It's like people just passing through. Yeah. And it kind of makes you wonder if that be the case, if that's the stone tape theory in place. Mm-hmm. Where if it goes on a cycle, I don't know, like prairie, what do you call it, when they were prairie, the wagon train stuff and all that. Because a lot of people travel through that area, just in general. So maybe it's only spooky when they're coming around. Or, like an ill wind blows through and all of a sudden you're like, what the heck's going on? And all of a sudden it's fine, they're gone. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows, Kind of nutty, but yeah, it does raise some questions. But if you're worried about all the ghosts being released from Bobby Mackey's, don't worry. The Vatican's going to open 5 sacred portals for a once-and-quarter-century ritual. That means 25 years. So like, oh my gosh. So every 25 years they open up some portals. Yeah. The Pope's going to do it. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So let me tell you what's going on here. So Pope Francis is going to unbrick and open 5 sacred portals symbolizing the doorway to salvation. Oh. Hopefully they'll counteract some ghosts and some weird stuff going on, right? Yeah. Every 25 years, these doors get opened. So for the first time, one of the doors will be opened is in a prison as a sign inviting prisoners to look to the future with hope. And so the Pope said it, now he said that in his Bull of Indiction, announcing the ceremony this year. It's tradition that goes back to the 1300s, Yeah. And so they can follow the ritual, which actually first occurred in 1423. So they mark Jubilee years. This is a concept going back to the Old Testament. Yeah. And so the sacred portals, in case you're interested, are in St. Peter's Basilica, which is in the Vatican. St. John's Lateran is in Rome. Mary Major is also in Rome. St. Paul outside the walls is in Rome. And then Rebibbia Prison in Rome, which is a first-time addition. So all these are in Rome. Yeah, so the doors, a lot of these doors have been bricked up from the inside. So the walls will be taken down before they can get to the actual door, right? And so what happens is when they break it down or gain access to it, the Pope walks through. That symbolizes the beginning for the whole year.
Okay.
And they're going to be open all year so pilgrims can kind of pass through. And then it finishes January 6th, 2026.
Yeah.
So, but the last person to walk through before they close it again is the Pope.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of neat, right?
Yeah.
Now, they were last open in 2016. At least the one in prison was. And it won't be open again until 2050. Yep. So in October, the Pope asked for prayers for the martyred people of Ukraine and cited inhuman attacks in Gaza and said he feared the world was losing its heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the Vatican nativity scene this year featured a baby Jesus lying on a manger lined with the Palestinian Kifa. Yeah. The Pope said these nativity scenes remind us of those who, in the land where the Son of God was born, continue to suffer due to the tragedy of war. So.
Yeah, shocking that the Vatican or Catholic Church doesn't like the Jewish Church. That goes back. That goes back a ways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Now they do throw in some gossip about the Pope. They said during a ceremony to ordain new cardinals, which happened a week or two ago, it says the Pope was seen with a large bruise on his chin, sparking health concerns.
Maybe they were taking it back the old school ways where like cardinals and popes actually fought.
Yeah, like duking it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Vatican spokesperson said that it was after he fell and hit a nightstand.
Yeah.
With his chin.
But then in 2017,
how does that happen?
Yeah. While on a trip to Colombia, the Pope was left with a black eye after hitting his head on a support bar when his Pope-mobile stopped short. Ow. Somebody brake checked the Pope.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to be wearing seatbelts, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he's just fighting it out. Maybe it's like, hey, I want to be the Pope.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And you got to challenge the leader, right? The leader of the tribe.
The first rule of Pope Fight Club is...
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not a good thing to talk about. Might be paving the way to the fiery place. I don't think so. So I had to throw in some tech because some of this was kind of scary.
Okay.
And this is like super crazy. If I can find it amongst my links. So, and this is from nomalien.com. Everything we talk about in podcasts, there's links to it. So if you want to go and read articles there or do better research than what we're doing, then there you go. But so Google recently announced advancements in quantum computing, revealing its new quantum chip called Willow. And according to Google, right, their quantum AI lead, Harmat Nevin, this chip can significantly reduce errors as more qubits are added. Qubits? Yeah. It's like it basically it's quantum bits is what it is.
Yeah.
So Google claims that Willow is taking as a step toward making quantum computers commercially relevant by outperforming traditional computers at certain tasks. And as Google says, these calculations may be taking place in a parallel universe.
Nevin highlighted a benchmark where Willow completed a computation in under 5 minutes, a task that would take the fastest supercomputers 10 septillion years, more than the entire age of the universe. Willow performed the standard benchmark computation under 5 minutes that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers 10 septillion, that is 10 to the 25th power, years, a number that vastly exceeds the age of the universe. And that was in a recent press release. However, the calculation question generating a random distribution has no practical application. Okay. So because it would take so long, but it did it in 5 minutes, that means it's doing it in a parallel universe?
Well, okay, so Marvel, in the multiverse, right? It's all parallel universes.
Yeah.
So
explained it in Ant-Man?
No, maybe like how time works.
Yeah.
Right? That's why we watched it, actually. It's because I put this article in and was trying to figure it out. But, okay, so I think the idea is that if that calculation takes as long as our universe has been around, how could it do it so much faster? Now, if you take, let's just say there's 1,000 of our universes, and the same calculation is taking place in all thousands of those universes, right? Because the way quantum physics works is that it can occur here and other places simultaneously. So it's not basically bound by location. So it'd be possible that you've just taken that, that time that it would take and reduced it by doing the same thing in multiple parallel universes.
Okay.
It's like building a house. One person building a house is going to take a long time. Let's make 10,000 people build a house. It should be done instantly, right? And that's kind of the idea, I think, in my lizard brain, how that works.
Okay.
That scares the shit out of me. This whole thing is scary. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Because what does that mean?
That Google's AI and supercomputer thing has access to these multiple universes?
No, that means that any idea, I think, that you've had about, like, how people say lucid dreaming, or when you have that stuff is basically just a dream. Maybe it's not. Maybe when you lucid dream, you're hanging out in another universe.
Okay.
In another parallel universe where that's how you are in that universe. If there's like unlimited numbers of you, because the universe and the parallel universes go on for infinity, then you're not dreaming. We're not that original. We're just tapping into another parallel universe where maybe you do drive a bus instead of whatever you do. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that if a computer can make a calculation that utilizes all that stuff, and since it all occurs everywhere all at the same time and finishes all at the same time, then it doesn't necessarily mean that our prime universe is the one that's doing it. It just means it's happening everywhere all at once. So does that mean, how does that apply to the whole, we're all living in a simulation? How can we all be living? There's no way. Maybe that's what the whole idea of a simulation is. Everything is occurring everywhere all at once. And then one thing it corrects and fixes issues and causes issues somewhere else and whatever, man. I can't wrap my head around it, man.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense. But that's phenomenal. Can you imagine how fast your little laptop's going to be? If you could process something like that, you could get remember how it was, everything would buffer?
Yeah.
There'd be no buffering because when you clicked it, it occurred and happened all at the same time. So I don't know. So Willow performed at a standard benchmark computation under 5 minutes. It would take one of today's supercomputers 10 septillion years. So that somehow or another, somebody's got that figured out, that factor of why it took 5 minutes and and translated it. So maybe they can take that and figure out how many parallel dimensions that thing went across, parallel universes. What if that proves that there's more than just 5 dimensions or whatever? Like there's really 48 or 43 dimensions, the number of human chromosomes in the body and all this weird stuff. This is stuff that just blows your head. This is the stuff that when you talk, if you knew about it, if you had it all figured out, you'd be like, okay, just listen. And you're like, this person.
Sir, I don't have any change.
This person is crazy. Sir, this is a Wendy's, right? I don't know. Yeah. So here's how they make you feel safe. Despite progress, quantum computers remain impractical for those in most real-world uses. But Google recently launched a $5 million competition to encourage practical application of quantum computing. And excitement is tempered by the realization that the technology still has a long way to go. Google makes $1 billion.
Yeah.
$5 million is nothing. So they really don't want you to do this.
Okay.
So, yeah. So Google's announcement was Nevin's reference to the quantum computation supporting the multiverse theory. He suggests calculations may involve parallel universes, an idea tied to David Deutsch's concept of quantum parallelism, and in many worlds, an interpretation of quantum mechanics. And so the interpretation posits that instead of collapsing The wave function branches into multiple universes during observation. So hear me out. What if all the Marvel shows were just a way to ease us into the idea that all this stuff exists?
Okay.
That all of it exists and none of it exists all at the same time. It's all here and it's all there. Everything occurs all at the same time.
Isn't that the name of the Michelle Yeoh movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's close enough. I can't remember the exact name, but
Yeah.
that means before you could blink, you could be somewhere else doing something else, but be the same person. And it would just be like, yeah, you've always done that. Maybe that's what happens when you die. You just basically pop in somewhere else and just keep on rolling. You had no idea what the hell was going on because it didn't happen. It occurred so instantaneously. Because if energy is not created or destroyed, that could be easily the thing. You just sort of take up residence somewhere else. So if something in that other parallel universe or whatever, if they passed on, you took their place and you just keep on rolling. That would mean that there's nothing original.
Huh.
It's all been done before. That's like when people write books. These crazy, elaborate books that are down to the detail, like minutiae. Like, how did they figure it all out? They're like, oh, I got it in a dream. Or, oh, it just occurred to me. I don't think we're that smart. I think it's been done before and you're just watching it. It just imprints into your brain. You've been there, done that, you've seen it. That's how you have all these details. It's crazy. Speaking of crazy. What?
No, I'm just tired.
Tired of me talking? Is that what it is? So this is nice, though. You'll like this one. Okay. Researchers uncover a new class of magnetism that could revolutionize digital devices.
That confuses me.
Yes.
Especially right now while I am so sleepy. But
it's 6 o'clock, guys. She's like done.
I've worked a very long day today.
Well.
However, these people, in a leap forward for condensed matter physics and digital technology, researchers at University of Nottingham report the discovery of a new magnetic phase dubbed altermagnetism. This discovery unites the best characteristics of established magnetic types, promising transformative advancements in digital devices and spintronic applications. Altermagnets consist of magnetic moments that point anti-parallel to their neighbors. However, each part of the crystal hosting these tiny moments is rotated with respect to its neighbors. The study co-author and professor of physics and astronomy at University of Nottingham, Dr. Peter Wadley, said in a statement, "This is like anti-ferromagnetism with a twist, but this subtle difference has huge ramifications." So for decades, magnetism has underpinned the foundation of modern technology, from hard drives to quantum research. The two conventional categories, ferromagnetism and anti-ferromagnetism, have distinct advantages but also inherent limitations. Ferromagnets, known for their internal magnetization, are the backbone of commercial memory devices but suffer from scalability and inefficiencies due to their net magnetic moment. Conversely, anti-ferromagnets provide speed and robustness, but lack the spintronic properties necessary for broader technological integration. This newly discovered third class, altermagnetism, bridges these two paradigms, offering the advantage of both without their drawbacks. So
let me sum this up.
Yeah.
Because I read it. I'm like, I'm not smart enough.
Yeah.
So, the other movie that we were going to watch that reminded me of this, we didn't watch. It's not important. We will never be able to go into space and survive in space like all the science fiction movies we see until we overcome a couple different things. But the primary thing is anti-gravity. Mm-hmm. It's not healthy for us just to be up there floating around with no gravity. We need gravity. Gravity makes things work.
Yep.
So how do you overcome that? Because you watch the shows where you got people just running around doing stuff and using gravity-type movements in space when we know that since space you're effectively free-falling the entire time, you're just floating, right?
Yeah.
This is how we overcome that. Huh. Magnetism doesn't work Because you got to be magnetized, right? So you have to have something that's negative, something that's positive, they attract together, and there you go. And that's how you stick to things as you're cruising around. But you still have no gravity. But if you harness this and add this into the equation, then you can create micro or basically gravity. Mm-hmm. So all the starships and all the vessels that fly around in space and all the movies you watch, if they can harness this, what do you call it, alter magnetism and regular magnetism and put it all together, then what do you have? You have the ability to create your own microgravity so that you could do all the stuff that you see in the sci-fi movies, and propulsion. So it's kind of like, okay, anti-gravity propulsion. You can use this and do that. And it doesn't have to rely on actual magnetism. So there you go. There's our anti-gravity propulsion figured out right there, and having gravity in spacecraft figured out right there. So this is how it starts. So science fiction is going to become science fact, and this is where it starts. So 100 years from now, it's not going to be an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, granted, I don't know enough about any of this stuff to scratch the surface of trying to figure out stuff like X-ray magnetic circular dichromism and linear dichromism to reveal intricate altermagnetic textures, including nanoscale vortices and domain walls. What does that mean? I don't know. And everything is supposed to be equal and exact opposites, right? Yin yang, the whole thing. So you've got magnetism, now you have altermagnetism. If you had magnetism as itself, and then altermagnetism as itself, so one's positive, one's negative, let's just say. Matter, antimatter, light, dark, all of that stuff. Yeah. And one technically can't exist without the other, but it's the whole yin-yang theory, right? I don't know, man. It's nuts. But I think this is how it starts. So what if this article came out when really people have already been looking into it? Maybe the whole idea that we have anti-gravity craft out there is a real thing and has been that way for a long time. Okay. And this article is a way to explain it. Like, hey, look what we see. You know, throughout history, we've done a whole lot of that. Make stuff happen, don't know why it happened.
Yeah.
And then later on, we explain and go, wow, that wasn't safe at all. Don't ever do that. Don't go take your kids into a JCPenney or a shoe store and x-ray their feet to see how they fit in shoes. Because you're giving them cancer. It's like, that used to be a thing. You used to have these x-ray machines where you put your shoes on your little kid and you x-ray their feet so you can see how they fit in the shoes. It's probably not good. You get 1 million times the dose and you're shocked later on when all your hair and teeth are falling out.
Yeah.
So there you go. You break out with some superconducting phases. We're going to pave the way for advancements in quantum computing. So it helps that. Being able to figure out gravity, anti-gravity, which makes a lot of things happen. It's limitless. It's some of the potential of what this theory and how you implement it can do. I think this is how we get gravity on ships. But actually having to have anti-gravity hull plating and all this weird crap. It's like you don't need magnets and all that stuff because you can create your own little altermagnetic field.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
It is.
And if you can eliminate that, then you eliminate a lot of the health issues that happen. That's why these astronauts have to work out for like 4 hours a day.
And take extra calcium supplements.
Yeah.
And
because
have
they're just
their bone
floating.
density tested up constantly.
I mean, your heart works weird.
Yeah.
When there's nothing. There's no sort of resistance. There's no gravitational stuff. That's why if we went to a place, think about this. If we were able to transit the universe and wind up on a planet that has like, I don't know, 1/100th of our gravity, and we were there, we'd be like some of the strongest people on the planet. You can smash right through it.
Okay. Because
our gravity is much stronger. So the idea is that would make us much stronger. I know we're getting deep, but this should scare you. You ready? Since I talked about altermagnetism,
yeah.
How about mirror bacteria?
This just sounds like an episode of Black Mirror.
Exactly. So. It's like mirror universe type stuff. Yeah. You've got our bacteria and you've got mirror bacteria. You've got matter, antimatter. You put them in, it's like Bizarro from Superman. Oh. It's the exact opposite. It's just as strong. Again,
this is Daily Mail, so you know the headline.
You know it's real. Just move on. All right.
No. Click.
How dare you?
Bait.
So scientists issue an urgent warning over lab-made mirror activity that could wipe out mankind.
So this so-called mirrored life, though, are synthetic organisms that are constructed out of mirrored versions of the molecules found in nature.
Yes.
So I'm guessing this is like, like faux Ebola or, something like that.
No, it's the exact opposite and super strong. So if you put let's just say you're positive and you put that negative and it's equal and they attract together, you know what happens?
Alter magnetism?
Yes.
Stop.
So using the
you
power.
You are not profound.
Yes,
at
I am.
all.
I am profound today. See, it's related.
As I fall asleep here.
And you're going to be shocked when you're like, what happened? Where am I? I'm in a parallel universe. I'm going to pop in from my parallel universe. Go, you should have listened. Should have watched out for that micro or mirror bacteria.
Anyways.
Because if
this
it's so
Dr.
equal,
Von Cooper, a microbiologist from the University of Pittsburgh and co-author of a recent paper, says this form of life has never existed or evolved. Consequently, all biological interactions would be different or likely wouldn't work. We don't want to limit that promise of synthetic biology, but building a mirror bacterium is not worth the risk, inherently because it's just unpredictable. I mean, if you're starting from scratch to build these mirror bacteria, they don't have the same almost life experience as bacteria that's already out there.
Well, the invisible to life on Earth.
Their evolution and interaction with the world around it may vary because it doesn't have that inherited experience that we have found happens with most life forms, all the way down to small bacteria, and amoebas and stuff like that, and tardigrades and stuff, So, I don't know.
Well, you didn't finish the scary part. If mirror bacteria were to escape from a lab, there would be nothing to prevent them from establishing themselves in the wild, threatening plants, animals, and humans with lethal infections. The creation of mirror bacteria is at least a decade away, but in a 300-page technical review published in Science, the authors noted that the rapid progress is already being made. And so evidently this has already happened. A group of 38 Nobel laureates and other experts, including some who previously tried to create mirror life, are now calling on a pause for all new research. So let's tie this in with some AI gone wild that can basically do a 5-minute calculation over 25 septillion whatever years and have it point at this and see what's going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I like that. We don't want to limit the progress or promise of synthetic biology, but building a mirror bacterium is not worth the risk. So this is how you create synthetic humans. Right. That can survive in the mirror universe.
Would you stop?
This is important.
No.
This is important news. Yeah. But it's kind of scary when 38 Nobel laureates, those are people who've been, at least nominated for a Nobel Prize. To go, this shit's scary. Let's not do this.
Okay.
And other people are like, too late. You're just not brave enough. Right? Mm-hmm. Just like your left hand is a mirror image of your right, many biological molecules have a left and right. No, listen. We are. We're split. We're equal. We're split. Right? We don't have eyes on one side of our body and all that stuff. We're basically symmetrical, right?
But it's not a
Here's what it says.
Image.
I'm reading what it says. Just like your left hand is a mirror image of your right, many biological molecules have a left and right-handed mirror molecule. What makes this feature so important for biology is that it doesn't vary from species to species. The molecules which make up all life on Earth have the same handedness. For example, the spiraling double helix of the DNA, right, is right-handed, whereas the proteins are made up of left-handed amino acids. So as far as scientists can tell, the fact that our DNA is right-handed on evolutionary fluke, there's no reason that life might not have evolved out of mirrored components. So what if it's reversed? You have, right, you got left side and right side DNA. One side's amino acids, the other side's proteins. And then maybe in another universe or somewhere else it's switched where one side's proteins and the other side's amino acids.
Okay.
You put them together and what happens? Destruction.
Okay.
Yeah. So that mirror life cannot evolve from life as we know it, scientists believe that it's possible to create an organism in which all the biological molecules are mirrored. And what would make this so risky is that life on Earth has only evolved to deal with one shape of molecules. You know, there's a parallel universe somewhere where that's exactly the case. And you got Bizarro Superman. And so, that's nuts, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. The idea is that the living organisms would not recognize their mirror counterparts as being foreign and would not have the natural defenses to protect themselves from an attack by them. In other words, it wouldn't exist to them. They wouldn't be able to detect it. That's pretty freaking scary. I mean, you just turn to dust, or what happens? What happens? We're like, what's going on? So here's another example. Humans would struggle to make antibodies against the mirror bacteria and being able to actually control the infection. So similar arguments applying to all living organisms. So likewise, bacteria's natural predators also rely extensively on the handedness of their prey molecules when they kill their bacteria. So effectively, you could create something like this and send this to a planet somewhere and it would wipe it out if you knew what was there. And then you could go live there.
Okay. Is it that the...
What?
I don't know. For some reason, I thought about the movie in the Alien franchise, that Prometheus. Was it Prometheus?
Oh, with the black goo?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case, because that was basically taking DNA, eradicating all the DNA, and then making new DNA to create it.
What if it was the same DNA? Just improved.
Well, I think you'd be fine as long as you enable the alternate magnetism generator.
Okay.
Yes, that's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that?
Okay.
It's pretty scary, right?
You
You know what's really scary?
What?
Is basically the googly-eyed vandal dividing an Oregon City.
This is great, though.
I put this in here specifically for you because the other day you sent me a text that said the camera is looking at me because I put googly eyes on the camera.
Yeah.
And I stole them from you because you went around putting googly eyes on all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So I have a camera that's a pan tilt camera, and it turns around and looks, and it has these two big goofy eyeballs on it.
Now, here's the thing, though.
But the picture in the video of the deer with gigantic googly eyes is pretty funny.
It's these metal deer sculptures, and what's killing me is that the title for the video claims googly eyes cost Bend, Oregon, I guess, $1,500 in roundabout art repairs.
That's just they're paying some dude $1,500 to go peel these off.
I need that job.
Yeah.
I
mean,
mean,
they're probably glued on there because they don't stick very well.
Well, that's because you got to buy the ones that aren't from like
China,
Dollar General.
Oh yeah.
If you buy the good ones, like
if you buy the quality googly eyes,
Yeah.
they do stick better. Right?
They will stay on that one sign for a while.
So, yeah, don't give yourself away. We don't got bail money, right?
I have googly eyes in many places, and they're still there. So
this case came to light last week when the city of Bend took social media images, right, and showed these odd altercations and requests that residents treat the pieces with greater care because it said conceding that the googly eyes might give you a chuckle.
yeah,
It costs money to remove them with care to not damage the art. So it was subsequently revealed that 8 sculptures have been tagged by the vandal over the past few months, much to the chagrin of community officials who say they've spent a staggering $1,500 to bring the pieces back to their original state.
okay, 8 sculptures, $1,500 in repairs. I mean, did it tear off paint when they took them off?
I think they got to pay a dude to go around and pull them off with a truck. You probably to get a bottle of Windex.
What kind of art degree do you need to get this job?
I think that bird poop is probably more
yeah,
damaging to a sculpture, especially a bronze or whatever sculpture, than that.
I mean,
I think they said somebody's got to go around and get these googly eyes off, and you got the dude in the back going, "You need a bigger boat."
oh, here they go. A city spokesperson explained that the sticky backside of the googly eyes is the cause of the costly damage.
Yeah.
Corten steel can lose rust patches from adhesives, needing chemical treatment to rust evenly, Renee Mitchell told Oregon Live. Stainless steel requires strong solvents to remove adhesive residue.
I'm going to cuss a little bit. Bullshit.
Yeah.
WD-40.
Yeah.
You could buy for a can. They could take one can of WD-40 and
Yeah.
go around and do all of this.
Dollar Tree now sells this dandy little block to help you remove sticky adhesive, and it's $1.25.
Yeah, it's an eraser.
No, it looks like part of it is made with beeswax. It's weird. I bought one someplace.
Let's just roll around in the dryer, just blasting all my clothes with wax. Like, what are these spots?
Honestly, okay, maybe the Corten steel thing and like the amount of patina it's getting, and it's not patinaing correctly, but the stainless steel thing, you don't see Point Pleasant, West Virginia getting mad about us people putting stuff on the Mothman statue.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And that is a work of art.
It's a big giant sculpture, sure.
Yeah.
It matches the criteria to be considered art.
I
think that, if you use googly eyes as they were intended,
yeah,
like on a statue that has eyes, I think when you peel it off, if you took some, awesome cleaner from Dollar Tree and wiped it all off, got the residue, I don't think that anybody would notice.
no. And I mean, these deer, they're not even attached all the way. The person did not apply full pressure. They're like literally just dangling off the pointy
They just walked
parts.
up and stuck it on there and walked away.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they spent time and said, what we need here is a 2-part epoxy. Right?
They break out their Let's Resin kit and just start.
Or Gorilla Glue. It's not like that. They just like stuck them up there and rolled on. And here, of course, the art community is like, how dare you?
Is that a visitor center it's in front of?
I hope so.
Oh, gosh.
That just means that somebody just walked by it, doop, doop, stuck them on there and kept on going. Probably wouldn't even got a sticker that says, keep it weird or whatever Ben's slogan is. Bend, Oregon.
Yeah. Oh, there's also... So there's one of those big giant round metal art balls that has like intricate carvings in it. And somebody put like the big 4-inch ones on it.
So now it looks like even more silly.
Yeah. And then they showed some other, they're showing the deer, which, here's the thing. Somebody put Christmas decorations around the deer. So they put little, like, Christmas scarves around them. And nobody's getting in trouble for that.
Well, they probably only had to spend $1,200 to get somebody to go around and remove it.
Yeah, I'm not buying
I'm just
this.
thinking that people just need to simmer down.
And somebody put a Rudolph nose on, now here's a soldier that had googly eyes on him. And the giant flamingo sculpture, somebody climbed up at least 8
How
feet.
dare you?
And put one big googly eye on each side of the flamingo sculpture.
This is not a laughing matter.
This is hilarious.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, of all we have to worry about with drones and alter magnetism and mirror bacteria and quantum computing occurring across parallel universes, this is not even a blip in the radar.
And like every single resident, I'm not knowledgeable of the damage, but I think it looks great. I love it.
They are funny. I do like seeing them, and I do like when the camera spins around. And then you see these 2 big googly eyes, because it really looks like it's looking at you, like the text that you sent me. The camera's looking at me. So I turned it off and made it go to sleep. So, all right. So we're going to move into the last thing. But before that, the other night I was sitting here in the office, and the way I sit, we have a table in the middle and a doorway. Mm-hmm. And I'm editing a video for YouTube, because I have a YouTube channel called Cheap Geek, and you can check it out. It's got over 16 million views and 45,000 followers. You should go subscribe even if you don't care. And then you shot your head around real quick and boop, boop, like an in and out real fast. And it scared me so bad, because all the lights and stuff were off, and you look just like a freaking shadow person doing the whole popping out and popping back in super quick. It was such a fluid movement. It scared me real bad, Omi. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm like, okay, that was you. And then, and this was like 3:30 in the morning or whatever. And then you came back and wanted to talk to me, and I'm like, you scared me so bad, because I'd been, of course, while I'm waiting for a video to upload, watching other videos.
Yeah.
And you do the paranormal thing where you start just going down a rabbit hole, and they have like little heads ducking out of somewhere. And since the other light's outside the room, because I'm facing the doorway in the office, it was dark. All it was just a dark shadow figure blob, in and out real quick. Scared me.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm all right. So I put this last one in here because New Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize that New Mexico has a ton of Bigfoot sightings. I probably should have put this I did put it under the cryptid news section.
Yeah.
Ton of Bigfoot sightings. A lot of people think that, Bigfoot's like California and other places, and they don't really, I think, know that New Mexico has a ton of Bigfoot sightings.
And this is right
Even
on.
Finding Bigfoot did like a 3-part series where they talk. It's just all about Mexico, and it was New Mexico, and it was all in a place where we would go all the time, where we had weird experiences that finally turned us on the fact that, holy crap, I think that's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And this article it's a video. I know you can't see it, but it kind of goes where the video talks about a trail camera.
Yeah.
And the title of the video says, Bigfoot obstructs trail camera in New Mexico. And it's by Tim Banal, off Coast to Coast. And it was submitted to Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization, this photo.
Yeah.
And they said it was taken in October, and it's up to the Sangria de Cristo Mountains near Carson National Forest, which we've been many times.
Which is kind of funny because they're kind of obscuring the exact location. In truth, Carson National Forest is primarily in Colorado, with only a little bit heading down towards Taos County.
Yeah, it's still part of it.
So, yeah.
Mountain range.
But the area definitely looks New Mexico-y. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's in New Mexico, but it does have that sort of high altitude sort of weird thing to say. All right, so this guy had an experience, right?
Yeah.
And he'd been exploring the area with his dogs, and he was stopped. They were stopped in their tracks by a blast of sound from the trees above us, and it's like a cacophonous call to a cross between a coyote on steroids howling and a siren. Mm-hmm. All right. His name's Dave Dial. And it says he recalled marveling that everyone in Taos had to have heard that. So this is basically around Taos where we were.
Yeah.
So the sound deeply disturbed one of his dogs. Right, and he had to pin the animal to the ground to keep it from going after whatever was behind the booming noise. And the source of the curious call began moving away from him, traveling up the mountains and eventually fading away. So it scared one of his dogs, and the other dog was going at it, which is a reaction, right? So, excuse me. So he set up a trail camera near the location, hoping to identify the mysterious creature that created that sound. And it troubled him, the one that basically troubled him and his animals. And so when he checked the device the following day, he was stunned to discover something rather remarkable. The device took 21 photos of common creatures cruising around the area, but one final picture showed something tall and hairy, seemingly standing very close to the camera, approximately 6 feet off the ground. Now, the picture looks like it's the chin and the upper torso of a bipedal creature. So something opened the camera, causing the lens and motion sensor to be facing towards the tree, resulting in no more images being caught. Yeah. And there was part of it where I've seen somewhere else where allegedly he called, made a noise, and it got louder, and he left.
Yeah.
And then he set up a trail cam.
So he was doing, call and whatever to see if it responded. The whole time, his younger dog, puppy, a husky puppy, was like, I'm going. And the older dog tried to lunge a few times too, and he ended up leaving because the puppy was going to go run out and go get it. And that would not have been good.
Yeah, because allegedly Bigfoot doesn't like puppies.
Yeah.
Just dogs in general. Although they love coyotes and use them and emit coyote sounds, and coyotes are attracted to them, allegedly. So. But if you watch the video, you get to the point where there's like a picture. The picture is really hard to figure out what it is. I mean, because it does look like a chin, and then you see the chest underneath it. It's really close, though.
I mean, I do have a similar photo of a deer that decided to lick the trail camera.
Well, I have a similar photo of a squirrel
Yeah.
in our birdhouse feeder, right? Which is this is my secret security.
Yeah.
It's a birdhouse feeder with a camera in it, with seeds, of course, pointed down the driveway, so nobody will know, right? And we get in this squirrel when the something happened, all the birdseed went away. Decided he was checking. He was very
This dude's
thorough.
5'1", just said so.
So he set it up 6 feet.
Yeah.
But I mean, if your chin's at 6 feet, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I mean, top of my head, it used to be at 6'2" at one time, so that's pretty tall.
Trying to read the captions while the video plays.
But I mean, we have a picture of a squirrel who was like right in front of the camera, and he was stretched up over top of it, looking at on the bird feeder tray, and he was stretched up, and he was trying to lift the top of the lid where the seed goes in.
Yeah.
And all you get is his whole underbelly, including inappropriate areas, all in the camera, and that looked pretty weird. It took a minute to figure out what that was. I was like, oh no. So what if that's the case with this?
Maybe
it's just an animal doing its thing. But you could look at it, and it does look like a chin, like a chinny chin, but it's in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And there have been and still have a lot of sightings up in that area.
Yeah.
So, because I think people think that New Mexico is all desert, and it's not.
No.
And there's forest up there. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Yeah. Colorado area. It's up there too. So I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah. Even the southeast corner has quite a bit of forest too. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it do.
Okay. Well.
So that means we're done. So anyway, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please interact with us. We'd very much appreciate it. We do thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast.
Yep.
And we do make podcasts as much as we can.
Yeah. Please follow us on social media. We have a fairly active Facebook group as well as a Facebook page where we post new episodes. We are on other social media platforms for now, like TikTok. Or you can always visit our website, CreepGeeks.com. Use the Contact Us form if you'd like to reach out.
Yes. So, all right. Anyway, there you go. See you later. Take it easy. Bye, Sickle.
Bye.